today. So we've been tooling around the Lake District all day on this, the Moto Guzzi, however you pronounce it. Mark's from Birmingham, so he's probably going to say Guzzi most of the time. I might say Guzzi every now and again, please forgive us. The first thing to say about it is it's a beautiful bike, right, Mark?
Absolutely. I think, you know, styling wise, it really is a very, very pretty bike, particularly with this variant, the Stone variant. What you get as a differentiation from the other categories in the V7 range is you get everything in matte, so everything's been de-chromed.
Yeah.
Shortened fender, matte exhaust, matte paintwork. You can have 4 different colourways for this particular bike thing.
I mean, I'm a bit of a fan of the idea that it's been de-chromed and it's matted,
Yeah.
because I tell you what, there's not a lot of weather protection on this bike. So you know, and if it was chrome, man, you're forever going to be polishing it, aren't you?
Well, I think,
and it is a bike that needs to be polished, because you know, everyone and everybody who's seen this bike has gone, bloody hell, that's a nice bike.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I think for me, this particular type of motorcycle is more about kind of cruising, touring, and the way it looks.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's a lot to, you know, somebody who's going to buy this bike is not going to want, you know, they're not looking for a fire-breathing, rip-snorting performance machine, because let's be honest, this is not one of those.
No.
You know, it very much is about comfort, about relaxation, about, you know, cruising, precisely that.
Yeah.
You know, I think we've discovered that today riding it around. You know,
Well,
it's
sure,
not the fastest thing in the world, is it?
No, it's not.
But certainly you can sit on it all day long. And from that perspective, it's hugely enjoyable. And also, I think in terms of the kind of look of the sort of matte finish, that is a more modern style. So this bike came out in 2017. It's the 50th anniversary celebration of the V7. So the bike's been around a long time. And again, in terms of silhouette and design, it's very, very similar. It's very, very similar to the way it's been over the last 5 decades. They have improved it slightly in terms of the technical side of it. Obviously, with 2016 legislation, it's got ABS. This bike also comes with traction control. We were having a conversation about this morning. We're not entirely sure why a bike with 52 horsepower needs traction control, but it has got a switchable traction control on it.
Sure.
But they have improved power, so power is slightly up to 52. But for me, I think, again, in terms of the style of the riding that you would do on this, it's got a higher torque figure, so it makes 60 newton meters of torque, which means, you know, you can just waft along on that sort of wave of torque in, you know, longer gears, 3rd, 4th gear. You don't really need to change down more than that, and it will just tool around in traffic. It'll tool around at 30 to 60 miles an hour, really gently and easily. You know,
yeah, like you say, it's not a performance bike. For me personally, I'd love to see about another 40 horsepower in it.
Perhaps.
You know, because it just looks the part. It looks angry. You know, as well, I think, you know, when I turned it on, I must be honest, I was a little bit disappointed, because, you know, the look of the thing, while it looks beautiful, it also looks a little bit, you know, like it should sound something as well. I think the first thing you're going to have to do is
change the bike. I think it's important. Yeah, sorry to. I think it's important to say that, you know, with Moto Guzzi, one of the things you can do is kind of accessorise in a pretty significant way. So I would absolutely agree with that. One of the first things I'd be doing is probably changing the exhaust, even if it's just the end slip-on. But you obviously, in kind of researching this particular model, there's loads of different options for that. So you can put on some much sexier end cans, much sexier full exhaust systems, and something that sounds a little bit more, I guess you might say, in keeping with it. I mean, I do think it still makes a reasonably nice noise. It's just not particularly loud. It's not very standoutish in that way.
And I think adding that little accessory on would just match the sound with the look, and for me that would just make the bike like a million times better. It really would. You know, perhaps it doesn't need that extra power. Perhaps actually all the bits are kind of commensurate with the kind of power that it's got. You know, obviously, you know, if it did have a load more power, it'd need another brake. You know, we're talking about a single
disc brake. I mean, I think it's also important to know, you know, this is Moto Guzzi's Guzzi. It's their entry-level motorcycle, so this is where you would start. In fact, they do an A2 detuned A2 license-friendly variant of this. And again, you know, when you ride this bike, you know, if you were somebody who was just coming onto their first big bike, maybe even riding a 125 or a 250, or perhaps you haven't been riding for years, you were coming back to it. It's a nice place to start to have a full-size motorcycle. Because it is a full-size motorcycle. You know, you and I have ridden plenty of bikes over the last couple of years, testing various different things, and you know, it's a full-size bike, big tank, plenty of range, but you can have a bike with slightly less power than this, and you could get onto it even as an A2 license holder. So, you know, they're trying to appeal to quite a broad market range.
I suppose if we talk about the specification of it, Mark, it's 52 horsepower,
6 newton meters of torque.
60 newton meters of torque.
Yeah, it's quite a unique transverse V twin.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's one of the quite cool aesthetic appeals of this bike, is that you've got this really nice kind of V section motor, shaft-driven motorcycle.
So it's not going to need the same maintenance.
No, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it's the cheapest motorcycle out there for this type of bike. Retails at $7,999. Yeah,
£91 something a month.
Yeah.
Is the finance quote we got. If you were to put 2,000 down, £91 a month
on a personal contract purchase.
Yes.
You'd have a balloon payment at the end, but 90. I mean, you know, and that to me, you sort of break that down. It's less than 25 quid a week. It certainly appears affordable, doesn't it?
100%.
So to have a proper full-size naked motorcycle with a huge amount of style and a very characterful V twin, £93 a month, not bad.
So obviously a big part of us actually testing these bikes is not only from the enjoyment of doing that part, but also testing the gear that we're making as well. And needless to say, we've actually been donning the full Nox outfit from head to toe today. And we're actually going to make a video separately to this where we talk about the gear in more detail. So I'm going to put the link in the description. Please go and check that out if you'd like to know more about the gear that we have been wearing. So in terms of the riding experience, Mark, I mean, what's your opinion?
Well, that's what we're here for. I think we've got a slightly different view on this, haven't we?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, for me, you know, having sort of read what Moto Guzzi have said about the bike and the sort of type of riders they think are going to most suit this motorcycle. Having that as a context, you know, my expectation was that it was going to be a pretty relaxed cruiser type of motorcycle, and to be honest with you, that's exactly what I found. I found it, you know, the seat is soft, the suspension setup is pretty soft. It's not a particularly stiffly sprung bike. You know, it is about it not being intimidating, it being comfortable. You've been able to relax on it, you've been able to sit on it, you know, regardless of what environment you're in, whether you're commuting, whether you're, you know, out having a tour around the country lanes, or whether, you know, you decide you're going to strap a couple of bags to it and do a bit of touring. You know, I wouldn't personally say that it's an overly agile motorcycle. I don't think it's kind of fast steering. I do think it is you know, it is very much focused on comfort, relaxation, and it gives you an opportunity to enjoy the environment you're in rather than focusing on head down and wallop, as it were.
Yeah. I'd agree with like 90% of what you've said. To be honest, I think actually it's a ridiculously easy bike to ride.
I would agree with that, absolutely.
So if you're new to biking, if you're like on an A2 license or something, I think they do a kit that makes it A2 license compliant. Yeah. Jump on this bike. This is going to be an awesome first proper big bike for you if you're in that position. Also, as well, if you're loving the look of it, you know, that's obviously going to be a big factor for you if you're looking at this bike. It's certainly not intimidating. All the handling, the braking, all is commensurate with the engine actually.
Absolutely,
so
yeah.
you know, none of it's sharp, you know,
none
of it's
important.
super modern.
Yeah.
But it all goes hand in hand for the type of bike that you expect. And so probably if you've got that kind of expectation in your mind, this bike is probably going to live up to it pretty well. I think where there's a couple of little niggles on it for me. I mean, you know, while it's got ABS and while it's got the traction control, actually, you know, daft stuff doesn't work. Maybe that's an Italian thing, I'm not entirely sure. But like the gear selector is like super lazy, and I don't know why in 2018 they can't sort that out. I mean, my 2008 Gixxer is absolutely pin sharp when it comes to gear selector.
I think it's what most people call character, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
I've got one major bone to pick about this bike, and it is the side stand. So okay. I don't know whether you've got to have a certain length of inside leg, but trying to either put the kickstand down or bring it back up is virtually impossible. Aside from that, you know, it's incredibly easy to use, isn't it?
Obviously, we want to thank as well at this point Via Moto for loaning us the bike, also providing all of the information in terms of the cost and monthly payments.
Absolutely.
And if you'd like to go ahead with that offer, please get in contact with them. There's a link in the description. They're also actually a real premier Nox centre in the UK as well. So if you're looking for Nox equipment in that Midlands area, Via Moto, a great choice. Please go and check them out.
Absolutely.
So thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed that probably in-depth review now. It feels like we've been talking for quite a while about it anyway. So look, please like this video, please subscribe, please comment. We'd love to hear what you think. And yeah, we will see you on the next review.